This is about Southport Murders. Yeah, so the guy that did Southport Murders is an African guy, and he's called Axel. Right now, to the police and people interested in this case, actually they're stalking someone called Axel. They're an African group, and they're stalking someone called Axel. Now that person, I know that person that they're stalking. He's called Axel Tucker, and Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose, is actually playing my friend and my brother-in-law, Axel. Right, Axel Tucker is my brother-in-law, right, and he's a very good-looking guy. I mean, one of the Essex boys, basically, and he's a prominent fellow, great guy, great family, really good family, politically sound, and not emotional retards of any type. Very artistic and expressive, and the good part of England, right? So they bring and contribute and are a part of the good side of England, right? So now Axel is one of the Essex boys, and is actually being played by Axl Rose in Guns N' Roses, right? Now Axel, my brother-in-law, is being stalked, and this is what the Southport Murders is. He's been stalked by that guy who's done the Southport Murders. He's attacking the Essex boys and the rock world. Okay? Now, that guy who's done the Southport Murders, he's also AC Me Demolition. I know, let me just discuss this first. Axel, my brother-in-law, he's got a brother. I got another brother-in-law called Otto, right? That's short for the Ottoman Empire, and they're like a politically sound group. They're very open culturally, right? And when it comes to the Ottoman Empire, it's interesting because they're the biggest Muslim group out there, and they're the most genuine Muslim group out there. All the other Muslim groups are not proper Muslims. They've been bastardized, turned into a gym, bodybuilding, and then you've got Hezbollah in Iran and ISIS in Iran, which is the bodybuilders, and they're attacking Iranian people, calling them too slim. Right, so now Hezbollah and Iran have been created from the gyms in Iran, and those gyms are also our gyms in Britain. They are also Hezbollah and ISIS. Yes, they are. Right, now they're attacking Muslims. They're calling them too slim, actually. Hezbollah and ISIS are an Africanization system and homosexuals, and they're calling the Muslims too slim, right? And they're also the Israeli army, okay? Right, so they're not really Jewish people. There's no Jewish women in the head of the Israeli army, for instance. I know this is a fact. Okay, so they hate the women, right? So now, with this attack at Southport, they're attacking Axel, my brother-in-law, and his brother is called Otto, right? So there's an Ottoman influence in this family. So we're looking at Muslims here, like the real Muslims, right? Who Ottomans, Persians, then went to India, all right, and then became a big influence. They both influenced each other. For instance, Rumi of Persian spiritualism was very affected and influenced by Indian spiritualism, and then the Persians went to India. They invaded India, the Persian Empire, and they influenced India. They were very spiritual to the Persians. And then they came together and they created something called the Upanishads, which is a Persian influence and a Hindu influence writings and spirituality and outlooks and understandings, and they're called the Upanishads and the Puranas, and then Hinduism. Hinduism is a Persian word, right? So when you say that Ottomans, you're really looking at hippies, in America or in Britain, the 60s hippies, they're basically the Ottoman Muslims too, right, who love the hippies in India. The Persians invaded India to live with them, right, and they became one. They had a society there together, but then they were attacked by the dark Indians in India that then put chili in their food, right. That's the history of chili, right. So this attacker at Southport, he's attacking my brother-in-law, Axel. Right, this attacker who's done the Southport murder is called Axel himself, and it's a gangland attack, right? And they're attacking the Essex boys, right? Now attacking Muslims. Otto is a Muslim name, right? Now that Southport murderer is attacking Muslims when he's attacking those girls, right? He's attacking Muslims because Muslims are not gay. Yeah, I know, it's disturbing. Alright, so those girls were killed by the guy that's Axel, right, is stalking my brother-in-law, right? Now, he has a Muslim influence. So this guy at Southport murderer, Axel, he's actually attacking Muslims when he's done those three murders in Southport. He's attacking Muslims, real Muslims, like also Pakistanis are real Muslims, right? So now this guy at Southport murderer, he's also ACME demolition that did 9/11, right? And there's no Muslim there. He's attacking Muslims. He's then blaming Muslims for 9/11, and then he's going out there and killing millions of Muslims after 9/11. Okay, can you see who's doing that now? He's put a picture up. He doesn't mind everyone looking at him. He knows what he's done. He knows what he's part of. He knows his ACME demolition that have done 9/11. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the Southport murderer is actually not wanting you to know this, but he's also ACME demolition that did 9/11, and they then also did the 7/7 bombings and blamed Pakistanis afterwards. So then on the 9/11 they blamed Muslims for it when it wasn't Muslims. It was them homosexuals that hate Muslims. They then tricked the American military into war with Muslims that don't hate Americans. They don't hate anyone. They're just religious people, and that's all. You know, that's why they're getting attacked. Alright, so okay, so now with the Southport murders, it was actually organised by the head of the car companies. Right, they're the gay community, and they've stolen the car companies. If you look at the Puma logo, it's sort of some kind of panther jumping at someone or leaping at someone. Okay, that someone is the car owner, right? And that panther leaping is your corner shops, Spa. Right, that guy, murderer at the Southport murderers, him, they've stolen the car industry. They've stolen it off British royals, British aristocracy, British people. Okay, so there was a guy called King Ben, right? His dad Jumbo, my granddad too. Ben is my uncle. Our granddad Jumbo, he owned the car companies. He owned Rolls Royce and Bentley. Right, then it was all stolen off him after the Second World War by a big calamity of disastrous miscommunication and lies upon lies, homosexual lies here, homosexual lies there. Next thing you know, everything's been stolen using those lies, aka the trickster, which is used by, you know, black magic people, and they tell you a whole load of bad lies to then steal all your banks. Right, so now all the car industries have been stolen after the Second World War off Ben. Ben was a king of England. Right, he died a penniless man about 2-3 years ago. Right, and he owns the car companies, and they leaped at him and stole it off him. Right, and who did that? Look at the Southport murderers. He is the car companies. Those are the people who did it. They snatched it off him. Alright, now this car company and Southport murders, they're attacking Muslims, as you can see. Axel. Okay, so Ben, who is actually my uncle, and he's a brilliant guy. I'll show you a photo of him. Him and his brother John, they created the Beatles, and they wrote a song called Help. It's because the car companies have been stolen off him, and stolen by, you know, jank, basically, non-British people. Really, you know, you know, anti-British people. I mean, they hate Britain. You know, they shouldn't be here. Like, they're the corner shops. That's Puma, by the way. The corner shops, the car companies, like, stolen off Ben. Mercedes Benz is Benzie. You see, the Africans and the homosexuals, they've stolen it off. Ben is King of England. Right? Now, so the car companies owned by a group, as you can see, they've done the Southport Murders as well. Now, they're attacking Muslims. Axel is a reference to a Muslim guy, a Muslim influence rather. Now, basically, the car companies are killing Muslims. When they did Southport Murders, they're actually attacking Muslims. Car companies are attacking Muslims. They're also attacking Pakistanis. They hate Pakistanis. Like, they want to ship us out. Actually, I mean, they're totally insane. Like, so now, I have a personal feeling that Pakistanis were brought into the UK to deal with the witches in the UK. Right, we have a big witch problem in the UK, and going back to, you know, Macbeth, right, in Scotland. There's a witch problem up there, right, and now it's throughout England. I mean, those witches destroyed Queen Mary's England, Scotland rather, but then she was also England, and the witches utterly destroyed her Scotland, and now it's ruined Scotland. Now they're throwing timber and having sex with a boyfriend instead. Alright, so, you know, okay. So the car companies are Southport Murderers. Now they're also ACME Demolition that are just killing Muslims, like carpeting them down, like. And it's disgusting, I can't describe how bad it is, like. Now, the car companies are doing this. So Muslims, you must not sit around when you're getting so attacked. That car company is also the Israeli army. That guy who's done the Southport Murders has stolen the Israeli army off the Israeli Jewish people and the Israeli women, and now he controls the Israeli army. The Southport murderer. And look what he's doing. He's going out and killing all the Muslims and everywhere he can in the name of Israel. And the Jewish people are not interested in this. He now next wants to kill the Jewish people because he then did this before in the Holocaust. Alright, so now Muslims, you're under attack by car companies, and those people in those cars, they're basically decimating the Muslims. Right, now so if you take them as prisoners and put them in a basement, you're being nice to them in comparisons. Alright, now let's look at the recent news. Just today, Muslims are being attacked again in Turkey. So Ottoman Turkey. So Axel, Southport murderer, is attacking a Muslim influenced guy and his brother called Otto. The Ottomans. Now, just yesterday, they burned down, today, they burned down a hotel in Turkey. Alright, so it's the same people. Alright, the same people have just burnt and killed 66 people in Turkey. Alright, so now you have to ask yourself, well, how did these Africans get into that hotel? They can't afford it. It's an expensive hotel. So who else is in that area who could do something like that and side with a group like that? Right, so the only person around there, well, he's actually the hotel manager. Because actually, when I explained that Puma was attacking the car companies and stolen it off the King Ben, he also stole the hotels. Right, so a psychopath is running all the hotels. He's stolen it off the British people. and he's hiding, and he's acting like a psychopath to defend himself, like it's going to help him. So the hotels are involved in the Southport Murders. Maddie McCann is killed and organised by the hotel manager that let rent boys in and took her. Alright? So that's all organised by the hotel managers, and they're like this wherever you go. Throughout Europe, they're all the same group that killed Maddie McCann. They know they killed Maddie McCann, they're hiding that. Now in Turkey, a hotel was burnt down. Well, who in the area is a psychopath would do such a thing to Muslims? Well, it's actually the hotel manager. Even though he's in Turkey, he's attacking the Turkish people. And this happens when it comes to the hotels. In Britain, we have a whole load of hotels. All of them are attacking Britain with gusto. Much worse than Northern Irish terrorism, okay? Ian Huntley is the hotels. Southport Murders, the hotels and car companies. And they're attacking Muslims and Hindus and the Irish people, the Excel people, the educated people. They're going for the students, they're going for the graduates, they're going for the teachers, they're going for the great universities. They don't like them, they're closing them down, they're defunding them, they're destroying the country. Alright, so the car companies and hotels are destroying the country, not just Muslims. They're destroying the Excel world. Anything outside a zoo, okay, is getting destroyed, and guess who buy it? Exactly, all those inside that zoo. Alright, AC Demolition, a bunch of weirdos all put together. Yeah, some of them look different, some of them look English. They're rather large. As I explained earlier, we're looking at the gyms are Hezbollah and ISIS, and AC Demolition, Southport Murderers is ISIS. That's ISIS. Alright, so they are the car companies. Now Muslims are under attack. So it's now time for Muslims to take passengers, right? They've just killed 66 people in Turkey. Are you going to allow them to do that? Of course not. Muslims don't allow that sort of stuff. Right, it's called Sharia law. They come in, if you stole in the hotels, they'll chop your hands off too, alright? Go to their countries and find out what happens if you steal a hotel off a Muslim guy. Alright, so now the car companies are attacking Muslims and killing them like you've never seen, as I've explained. So now Muslims have got to apprehend cars and their passengers and create an industry, a business that counterattacks the news immediately. Alright, so yeah, Axel is part of a really nice family. I've known them for years. They're fantastic, and I've met some brilliant people in my time. Worked in, directors and film people and all that. Okay, so Axel's sister is a PhD in councils, political science and government. She's working in the political field and doing very well. She's a brilliant person and deserves to do really well. Now Axel, who is her brother, okay, and her other brother Otto, we're under attack, right? So now Axel is we're one sec. So yeah, is under attack by the car companies that's been stolen off British people. King Ben, who's the head of the British Army, British Royal Air Force. Okay, so they lost the car companies to this scavenging group. Okay, and then they're attacking Axel now. Right. Okay, so who's King Ben's son, brother-in-law? Axel is King Ben's son, brother-in-law. And look how they're attacking on Southport Murders, like, our family, we own the car companies. Okay, so to fill the Essex boys in, you know, the Essex boys murder, the triple murder, the tragic scene there. Okay, so this is done by your corner shops and the gay community and these Africans that have done the Southport murders. They've done this. Nobody caught any idea who killed these guys who done nothing wrong. They've been killed by the people who run the car companies. They killed the Essex boys, heads, 3 of them. Okay, so that was organised by your corner shops. They're also attacking Ottoman, the real Muslim, that are spiritual, much like the Hindus. They're very Hinduism and Persian are brothers and sisters. Right, and that's, you know, Hinduism is your ancient Celtic Irish people, and Scottish, right, and British and European, Indo-Russian as well. And this is the history of Europe, Hinduism. Right, it's became the Irish Celts, and the paganistic dance is actually from northern India. And this became, you know, Irish Celts and Scottish Celts. But nowadays the Scottish turned into gays, and they're throwing timber instead of their boyfriend. And they should be shown throwing their boyfriend, not the timber. Leave the women alone. Alright, so he's attacking the Celtic people. He's attacking Persians. And then he's bombing them. And look how big he is. He's actually the gyms. And he's killing Scotland too. The timber throwers, the car companies, Southport Murders. They are non-religious. So they hate Catholics too. They hate anyone that's into God or Jesus. The only other person like that is a chimpanzee. Has no soul like that. It cannot develop. His main name is extinction. All animals suffer this. Certainly God created them, but sadly the animals are not bright enough to be religious and excel. And the Muslims represent God and religion under attack like you've never seen right now by a group that are unspiritual, very criminal, a cannibal sect. They hate religion. So does a chimpanzee. And he's a cannibal. He kills his best mate. So the car companies are the Southport Murderers, and they're attacking someone called Axel, who's been portrayed in the band Guns N' Roses, and Axl Rose is actually my brother-in-law, and my wife, engaged wife, is Pilgrim, and that's Axel's sister. And Pilgrim is a stunning woman. I married her when we all got engaged when we were we were young, you know, about 14, 15. We lived together, and Sylvia loved Pilgrim, and she loved her a lot. And Pilgrim's brother is Axel. She has another brother called Otto, who's a really nice guy. I went to school with him, very supportive, like. And they're the Essex boys. So with Southport Murders attacking Axel of the Essex Boys. They've just done a triple murder of 3 girls to attack the Essex Boys. Alright, so the car companies are the Southport Murderers. They're leaping at the cars and stealing it off British people. Alright, so King Ben is also the Essex Boys, and Manchester, Liverpool, Newcastle. Okay, so Ireland, okay, and also we're talking about international as well, America, France, Italy, Spain, Sweden, Germany, Russia, okay, Australia, India, Southeast Asia. Okay, so King Ben is a big guy. I mean, his dad was named after an elephant, Jumbo, and they helped create the Roaring Twenties and the 60s. And now he's very, very, very under attack. And they're going for the Persians, who are basically hippies. They support women. They support their beauty. They don't dismiss them. Right? Now, that's your Persian people and the heart of the Muslim world, who the Pakistanis are a part of. Whereas the Hezbollah and the ISIS are not real Muslims. They are bodybuilders. They're calling Muslims too slim and killing them, carpeting them to death. Hezbollah and ISIS are bodybuilders. They literally own the gyms in Iran and in Britain. They run in the car companies and they organise the Southport Murders. And they're very hostile to me, for instance. These Hezbollah and ISIS, they've done the 7/7 bombings and the Southport Murders, and they're all the gyms and the car companies carpeting Muslims because they're not gay. They're not gays. And that's why they're getting genocided right now by Israeli army that are Hezbollah and ISIS, bodybuilders and gyms. No women are allowed in there. The head of the Israeli army carpeting Muslims because there's Muslim women who are free. They can't stand it. They are asinine. They're in the chimpanzee world doing that to them, right? They have no religion. Chimpanzee also has no religion, and he's very violent. He's a cannibal. Leave Muslims alone. Right, so there's your car companies, a chimpanzee, right? He's very violent, he's a cannibal, he runs their social services too. He's stealing hundreds of British kids a week on purpose because they're British. Okay, the person who's running that is the guy who's organised the Southport Murders, and now let's look at him. So the people in the council are really clones of that guy. Yes, they are. And they're Hezbollah and ISIS, alright, calling everyone too slim and killing the fashion world. And Persians and the Muslim Pakistanis under attack by the car companies that are also those dark Indians. The corner shops, they're in the hospitals. They've done 9/11 and then blamed Muslims, and now millions of Muslims have been killed brutally. Now these dark Indians are running the Israeli army. Those corner shops have stolen the Israeli army of Jewish people, calling them too slim. Hezbollah and ISIS now run the Israeli army. So they started this attack in October 6th at a Jewish festival to then go on and kill Muslims afterwards. So exactly what they did in 9/11, they did 9/11 and then go on and kill Muslims afterwards. And look who's doing that. It's a Southport murderer, there he is. There's hundreds of them like that. Alright, so so the gays that are running the hotel system, they're stolen it off King Ben. King Ben and King John, who are my dads by the way, they refer to me that we own hotels. And they're like the British aristocracy. They're not mincing their words when they're saying that. You know, they mean it. Princess Diana knows both my dads, King John and King Ben. Ben from Mercedes Benz. They've stolen it off the royal family, and Diana loves my dad, King John, and King Ben. They're both brothers. She loves them both, and she said that they own the hotels. Don't be silly, no one else owns the hotels. It's they own the hotels. They're British aristocracy. It does not owned by. No, how do I put it? I mean, let's have a look at him, and you make your decision. What he is, the guy who's done the murders at the Southport murder. Those are the people who've stolen all the posh hotels in central London. All right, they're a group. There's a load of them. There's a few people from here, a few people from there, but they're all led by the corner shops. And they stole in the Ritz Hotel. Diana hated this. She was being terrorised by them and threatened with death threats by the gay community. Sickeningly, were giving her the worst death threats shortly before she was killed, saying that they were going to kill her in a car crash. Right, and this is your corner shops getting access to her and then saying things like that. Right, she knew it was them, and then she said, okay, I'm going to pull out one of their guys, Martin Bashir, and do an interview. So you can see who's attacking Princess Diana. It's Martin Bashir. It's Martin Bashir and those sort of people. They're in the hospitals. They then killed Diana after that interview. Martin Bashir's group. It's a fact. Got the evidence. It's complicated. Okay, so they're still attacking Diana as well. They're also giving death threats to Kate Middleton. They've been doing this over the last few years. About 5 years she's been getting death threats. Quite a lot of death threats. From the same people that killed Diana. Those corner shops. Doctors in the hospitals. Martin Bashir. He murdered Princess Diana. Because she was ousting them. As the nasty, horrendous people they are. Should never be anywhere near Europe. We have to talk more about their extradition out of America and out of Britain for the good and better of all. You can't have that kind of cancer here, it's fatal. And we'll talk why that's fatal later on. But now, 66 Muslims have been killed in Turkey by the hotels that are the Southport Murders. They own the car companies and hotels in Britain. Right, so Muslims know where to go. They know what to do. You're going to have to take passengers. It's not your fault. You didn't start this. Nothing to do with you. You have to defend yourself. So, the Southport murder was organised by psychiatry, and that psychiatry is led by a guy called Cy Barber. Cy Barber is a well-known gay paedophile, and he abuses boys of 5 years old, and he hates girls. He hates women. He is basically not Indian, and he's called Cy Barber, and he's a complete fraud. He's stolen the banks. He's a huge liar. He's called the trickster, and he runs the farming industry. He's the head of the farming industry. He is actually Cy of Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's has got his name right at the beginning of Sainsbury's. Right, so Sainsbury's and Cy Barber are psychiatry. Psychiatry is the Southport Murders, and it's led by, as you can see, the murderer there depicts the people that are running psychiatry, actually. And they've stolen the car companies and hotels, and they've got their gays who are fronting it, right? But behind it's been snatched by these guys that are coming up in terrorism incidents on the telly. All right, so now psychiatry is run by a gay paedophile, Cy Barber, that runs the farming industry, the gay community, and Sainsbury's. All right, so Sainsbury's is psychiatry. Psychiatry is led by an African voodoo group from South America. They're using voodoo dolls and they're doing voodooism. And one of their nastiest attributes is Parkinson's disease, and it's actually coming from a voodoo drug from Africa, witch doctors, and they brought it into England and America. People like Michael J. Fox has now got chronic Parkinson's disease given to him by psychiatry. All right, that's the Southport Murderers. All right, and they own Sainsbury's. They're led by Cy, head of psychiatry. Sainsbury's. All right, so now they're handing out this Parkinson's disease to thousands of people all over America and Britain. All right, and they're suffering roughly what Michael J. Fox is going for, a chronic version of Parkinson's disease. Given this, the psychiatry has put this in all the medication. All right, so there thousands of people are going through this similar situation, and it's an unsung, heinous crime that's going on. No one knows about. It's swept under the carpet. It's been going on for years, and they're brutally attacking the middle and working classes, calling them a whole load of names just because they're not gay. That's psychiatry, and they own Sainsbury's. So whenever psychiatry gives you Parkinson's disease, 2,000 of British people can support those victims and go and take customers as prisoners from Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Poundland, Boots, the train services, pubs, nightclubs, trans schools run by the murderer of the Southport triple murder is running the schools too. He's also led by Cy Barber, a gay paedophile, owns Sainsbury's. And look what they've just done. They murdered 3 girls and they got away with it. The big companies that are walking open with their doors and people walking in and out, they're guilty as you've ever seen. They're planning more. All these attacks are attacking Muslims and hippies. Tara was killed. She's not a Muslim. She's a hippie. Sally was killed. Oasis talks about Sally. She was murdered. She's a hippie. She's a beautiful woman from the 60s and 70s. It's not a threat. That Sainsbury's murdered them both. Oasis sings about Sally. That Sally Belfridge are one of my close friends and a family friend. And the Dark Indians used poison and they killed her. She died of aggressive cancer. She had been spiked. Okay, Sainsbury's and psychiatry are doing that. They're the only people who are spiking people with cancer is psychiatry. They're also using and led by Africa, right? And they're using African voodoo drugs inside the hospitals in England and America, giving people symptoms like extreme shakes. So there's so many levels of Parkinson's disease. You have the extreme level, you have in between, and then you have your lighter form, and that's ADHD. And they spike the water system. Now all the kids have got ADHD, which causes a serious problem for parents of unruly kids. They've got a nervous system problem now. Their nervine is shot. Right? It's now they now can't be calmed and relaxed. They can't educate themselves. They can't concentrate. They end up in prison once untreated. And you cannot treat ADHD, not properly. It's very difficult. We'll go into it later how we can do that. All right, so psychiatry and Sainsbury's are causing this Parkinson's disease amongst thousands of people, including Michael J. Fox. Well, if somebody punches you in the face like that, then you go and take them and you put them in prison. All right, that's those customers coming in and out. They're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to open up for business after Southport Murders. And if they do, anyone involved there goes to fucking incarceration. Putting them in the basement is being kind to them.